Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. Hope we're all doing very well. We are live. We are live. This is something we're going to be doing a lot more of. Live shows and news updates, everything with that side, as well as previews. Anything to do with Chelsea, that is the plan. Obviously, over the international break, about a couple of weeks to see if there's anything we can do differently. And it seems like that is the way that we're going to go. We're going to go down more of a live route. Do you know what it is? It's so difficult to keep up with things and just do it video by video because you never really get a full context in 10 minutes. So I think when you go live, when you've got a chat and you can all interact, it's just a lot easier, isn't it? Like, you can see exactly what I'm saying and we can sort of connect a little bit more. But listen, there's plenty to go through. One of the main things is obviously Thomas Tuchel. He's got the England job, but that directly affects Chelsea because he is looking at the goalkeeping department that Chelsea have at the moment. And he's sniffing around. Listen, he is sniffing around. So we're going to break down what's going on with that particular saga. There's a couple of articles going around around that. The Standard, West London Sport, a number of different things. So, this isn't the first time that Thomas Tuchel has been sniffing around and looking to take what was once Chelsea's staff member. This happened at Bayern Munich as well with Anthony Barry. For those of you who don't know what Anthony Barry did, he was a set-piece coach. We've since replaced him. But when he was there, he was fantastic. Everyone had good things to say about him. And I don't think we had a bad record on set pieces either. And fundamentally, I think we've certainly got worse since he's left. So, yeah, we're going to break everything down, go through it. And then we've got Maresca's press conference as well. He said a number of things, so we can go through that. And if we've got some more time, we'll talk about the Liverpool game as well. Let me just share my screen with you. Okay, nice one. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, plenty of things happening at the moment in the Chelsea world. It may not seem like it, but Jesus, it's hard to keep up with it at times. So yeah, Thomas Tuchel wants to raid Chelsea with Hilario, the head of performance analysis. James Melbourne as well is a target. Oh, I didn't even realize that. So it's not just Hilario, it's also the head of performance analysis, James Melbourne. Yeah, this tells you, well, fundamentally, I think Tuchel still loves Chelsea, absolutely. But what does he love about Chelsea? He loves that we just have great members of staff. And even though we gutted a lot of what we had, there are still some real gems in there. Hilario was here when Tuchel was here. They have a fantastic personal relationship. They're actually good friends. When Tuchel got sacked, you're not actually allowed to meet with your staff members or ex-staff members or anything like that outside of the club. But as far as I'm aware, he did do that. He met up with all of his staff members. They've been meeting and keeping in contact, and fair play. I think it's a bit of a silly rule, really, not to be in touch. But if that's the way they want to go, then that's absolutely fine. James Melbourne as well. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know much about James Melbourne. So I'm going to quickly take a little dive into him. How long has he been at Chelsea for? Does anyone in the chat know? James Melbourne, Chelsea. Let's have a look. Doesn't really have much on him. Let's see if ESPN are saying anything. Yeah, it doesn't say how long James Melbourne's been at Chelsea yet, so I'll have to find that out. Yeah, we'll look into that another time. But yeah, Hilario's been at Chelsea for many, many years. This is a guy who was a goalkeeper for us. He was our number 3, if I'm not wrong. There was a time where we had Petr Cech, Ross Turnbull, if you don't remember those days, and then we had Hilario as well. He was our third choice goalkeeper. Yeah, so he didn't really play much for Chelsea. I think he got a couple of minutes, played a couple of games. No real significance, to be totally honest. But what he does have is experience in a winning environment. And you'd think that when you're a player who isn't playing, you still get to know that environment very well, and you use that into your coaching methods as well to create that for the players around you. And he's clearly done all right, because Chelsea have kept a hold of him. He brings something to the table that they obviously appreciate. And he's one of the very few players who has survived the Bowley Clear Lake takeover. And, we can't really say that for many. And we already know Ben Chilwell's going to be leaving, other players as well. And a large part of that is just because the Americans want to have their spin on things. But, yeah, we are potentially going to have to replace Hilario and some of our goalkeeping department if that is the case. But, for me, if I was Hilario right now, I look at it and I think to myself, right, Tuchel's got an 18-month contract, 18 months, which is fine. So you're telling me that after 18 months, if he doesn't win the World Cup, he's going to stay? Because I don't think he will. I don't think he stays if he doesn't win the World Cup. I think if Tuchel wins the World Cup, there's actually a chance that we look to extend, and he actually might do that. He'll look to maybe lead us into the Euros and extend for another period. But why leave Chelsea to go and work with the FA, right? Where is the benefit in that for you? How does that benefit Hilario? So then you look at different factors. We'll look at money. We'll look at the pay, which undoubtedly will be less, because you spend less time working with England than you do with Chelsea. So, a full-time contract, how many months of that contract are you actually working? And presumably that will determine the salary. Because if you look at Tuchel, he's on 5 million a year under the FA. He was on 10 million for Chelsea, so 50% pay cut if you go by that logic. But that's because he's doing much less. Yeah, so you can justify that. But I'm sure it is heavily incentivized, and there is a clause in there that if Thomas Tuchel wins the World Cup, he gets a nice big pay, and maybe that will be 5 million. Probably wouldn't surprise me. I'd pay 5 million for a World Cup. Who wouldn't? He'd probably end up paying more than that. So that's one of the first factors, is looking at the financial aspects. Is Hilario going to make more money? Is James Melbourne going to make more money if they work with the FA? And then it's just about, location's not really a factor, is it? It's Wembley. It's still London. I don't think that's going to be anything particularly massive. And then it has to just come down to work-life balance, right? If you're working with England as a first-team goalkeeping coach, if you're on that team, I don't know the schedules of these guys, so maybe I'm totally wrong, and let me know if I am. But you're not going to be doing half as much. You're not going to be doing 50% as much as what you were doing at Chelsea. So that means that these guys, Hilario is going to spend a lot more time with his family. He's going to have the chance to spend time with his kids, with his wife, whatever it is, just a little bit more time personally. And you still get the benefits of working at the top level with the best players that England can provide, and still competing for silverware in terms of World Cups, Euros, because we are competing. We just don't tend to go much further than a semi-final or a final. We can't get over the line. So England are basically Tottenham internationally at the moment, which is a bit frustrating to say, but that's why we've obviously brought in Thomas Tuchel, isn't it, to try and close that gap. So, yeah, for me, I think that this is a realistic appointment. I think it could certainly happen, but that's if what we've just said is relevant to Hilario and James Melbourne. If they're looking to maybe do a little bit less, then international, any form of international work at that level is going to be more sustainable than Chelsea. How long are Chelsea going to get off? A couple of weeks after the Club World Cup, if that? I heard Guardiola complaining they want to get the Premier League to push everything back by a few weeks, because otherwise the players don't get a holiday. How's that for mental health? And I think it is realistic that we do see a strike from the players because of this. So I think it's also relevant to coaching. If you're a coach at international level, you have a great work-life balance. You have a fantastic life. I remember when Gareth Southgate qualified for the World Cup when he first got the job, and you got like a £250,000 bonus. That's not bad, is it? So it's easy. It is easy in some cases, but then the pressure kicks in. You have that period where you play the big tournaments and you either do well or you don't. Thomas Tuchel is clearly a knockout manager that we can hold in high regard. He's obviously done well with us. And all the best to him. And if Hilario wants to go, then, fair play to him as well. Hugh, I am going to Anfield. Yes, I will be there. I will absolutely be there. I'll be going up there with Charlie, and we're also driving up with a friend called Darmesh as well. So yes, we will be up there. I know that this is going to sound very stupid of me to ask this question, but who is Hilario? Because I'm not really familiar with that name. Hilario is the goalkeeping coach of Chelsea. He's basically in charge of training our goalkeepers. And he was a Chelsea player before he coached that. You'll be going to the game. Good stuff, Amir. Yes, I want us to humiliate Liverpool as well. Good to see you, Greg. Big up to you in the chat. There's also some more news for you guys, totally separate. We're going to move on from what we saw with Hilario on to Chelsea as a whole. And we're going more commercial now, talking about the ownership. Chelsea have trademarked a new emblem to celebrate turning 120 years old in March. The badge will not change. Chelsea have also applied to trademark Chelsea and the Chelsea. So why is this significant? Why does it have any meaning? Well, let's look at let's start off with 120 years. First of all, what an amazing thing to be a football club that's 120 years old. That's a fantastic thing. Chelsea was formed in 1905, and listen, I haven't been around for that long. I'm still in my 20s, but those of you who are maybe in your 40s, your 50s, 60s, 70s, you've been able to see the rise of this club, and we've got a tremendous heritage. And in fairness, I don't have anything against the club trying to trademark anything to do with Chelsea, because it's Chelsea's right in that sense to have that privilege. But ultimately, it comes down to the same thing that we all talk about, and it is money. It is the pound notes. And if we trademark Chelsea and Chelsea, the Chelsea, whatever, then what it means is if other companies make merchandise with Chelsea or the Chelsea, if anyone uses that name and makes money off of it, whatever it is, Chelsea are inclined to have a piece of the pie. So for those of you who look on YouTube, copyright, all that sort of stuff, it's basically, if you want to make merchandise with Chelsea on it right now, you can get away with it, but in the future you won't be able to, providing this application for Chelsea goes through. I mean, they're just trying to get every avenue of revenue that they can. I have nothing against it. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Look, everything is about money in football, and if you can generate more money, you can spend more money. And I don't think that these owners have anything against spending. So I don't see why we should criticize the fact that they want to generate money in order to put it back into the club. Ultimately, what we know is the same thing that these owners have probably figured out after the past couple of years. If you don't invest in your team goes backwards, and therefore the valuation of the club will go down as well. It's not like if you took over Man United with Old Trafford. Commercially, they're absolutely massive. Yeah, Man United are always going to generate enough cash that they don't really have to dip into their own pockets, the Glazers. They never had to. And you can still fund the club just through that. But Chelsea, we don't have a big enough stadium. In terms of the commercial aspect, if we are lagging behind, then I'm all for it. Do everything you can to try and even the playing field. We need to work out our defence for Chelsea versus Liverpool. Yeah, absolutely. Chilwell start and Vega partnership with Colwell. We're never going to see that. Chilwell will not be playing. You've been a Chelsea supporter since 1970. Oh, that's what I'm saying, Hugh. So ultimately, if you've been supporting the club for a long time, you've got a good view of what we were and what we're turning into. And we are turning into this club that want to just churn out as much cash as we can. But if we're winning trophies, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I recorded a podcast yesterday with a guy called Mickey, who came all the way down from Leeds. He's been traveling the country doing these different podcasts. And he's releasing a book, and it's all about basically how to take football back, English football back from rich foreign owners. And he has come up with a real concept, a genuine strategy. And that's why he's written the book, obviously, to go through this strategy. And so, yeah, we went through the podcast. It was an hour long. We'll release it when we can. And it basically describes everything that you need to know. And it's quite radical, isn't it? Because if you're going to take the clubs from the owners, you're not going to do things normally. But legally, you can do it, essentially. And he's proven that. So that would be an interesting episode. What else? Cole Palmer is also the September PFA Fans Player of the Month. Another award for Cole Palmer. I think it's very clear to say that this is the best player in the Premier League. There is no player at this moment in time who's better than Cole Palmer. I will stand on that. Bukayo Saka, you do not compete with Cole Palmer. Right now, honestly, I look at KDB and I don't think he's as good. Would you take KDB over Cole Palmer right now? I wouldn't. Would you take Erling Haaland over Cole Palmer? I probably wouldn't, to be totally honest with you. This guy is an absolute baller. He is of the highest class. When you look at levels of players, and you've got your consistent players, the ones who are always fit, your runners, your technical players who maybe don't offer enough defensively, set piece specialists, who could take a free kick, who could take a corner, who could take a penalty, my creators, who can dribble, who can link up well, who's the glue, who makes other players around them better. And Cole Palmer, he just does it all. Everything I've said, Cole Palmer is good at. Even defensively, the guy's work rate is so good. It's so good. And there's no entitlement. And that is something that we just haven't seen. Like even Eden Hazard, he was so good on the ball, world class, as we know. But defensively, he didn't really put in a shift. And Cole Palmer, he's just got everything. He's got absolutely everything. And that's what you want from a player. And that's what's going to make him top. Big up to Cole Palmer. Fantastic. Absolutely superb. Now, we are going to touch on the Liverpool game as well. So I did say we'd speak about that. Football has become too expensive for the normal working man or woman. Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I don't know if you got a season ticket, but my season ticket went up they said it was going to go up by 7%, but it wasn't 7. It was about 9%, 9 or 10%. Because I paid $7.50 and then it went up to $8.10. So, and if you were in the Westview or something, your season tickets would have gone from like $3 to $4 grand. Absolutely extortionate prices. And if people are willing to pay the money, that's fine. But it does take away from the atmosphere. It takes away from... it takes the passion away from the game. Nobody really... You have to justify it almost when you're spending that much money. Do I do this with my family or do I go to the football if you have a family? Can I pay my rent or do I go and follow Chelsea? And it shouldn't be like that, really. It should be something that is a little bit more cost effective. But that's another reason to get a stadium upgrade, right? If we have 41,000 seats at the moment, add another 20,000, whether that's in Stamford Bridge or if you got to go to Earls Court to do that, I'm not opposed to it. Then what you have is a viable option to allow you to maybe keep your ticket prices a little bit low, because Chelsea actually, in terms of league, we generate a lot more revenue than other teams, but we're still lacking behind Arsenal and other teams. because their ticket price is so high, but also they've got another, another third of seats that we just don't have. So you can't compete with that. And for us to raise season ticket prices and general memberships without increasing the capacity of the stadium is just criminal. So one of the key factors we need to look at with regards to the Liverpool game is the aerial success rate. So how good are Chelsea in the air compared to Liverpool? Liverpool first in the league, 64% aerial success rate. Chelsea, 18th in the league, 45%. So 20% in it. Big number, guys. And that doesn't give me much hope in one sense, but in another sense, we're not looking to play the type of game where we get dirty. I don't think that's how we beat Liverpool. I don't think we look to play out for set pieces. Even though we do have a new set piece coach, I just don't see it as the way to win. What we need to do against Liverpool is counter and play smart football. Yeah, it's not about a low block. Certainly not about dominating possession at Anfield, because I don't believe we'll do that. What Arne Slot has done at Liverpool is, honestly, I didn't think he'd do that well. I really didn't. And things could still certainly change. But if there's two things that have proven me wrong this season so far, it's that Arne Slot, I thought he would be rubbish. He's been okay. And Trent Alexander-Arnold has adapted very well to his new role. He was so good under Jurgen Klopp. I just thought to myself, well, that system's built for a player like Alexander-Arnold. So how's he gonna fare if he's not given as much freedom to go forward, if he's not pinging those crossfield passes like he was before? And I mean that's where I see it at the moment. Big up to Dubes. Hope you're doing well, mate. I wouldn't swap Cole Palmer for Kevin De Bruyne, but I would play them both alongside each other, to be totally honest with you. I mean, that's in an ideal world, isn't it? I don't know what kind of transfer budget we're going to be looking at if we have both of those players, but I'm not going to say no. Big up to Nippin as well. Big up to you, my friend. But yeah, so that's the way I see it. I think what we need to do is go into this game looking to play football, but not being arrogant, And I do think that Pochettino, not just under Chelsea, when he was Spurs manager, like every time they went to Anfield, it was the same bollocks. It was like, let's try and play football and do what we would do against any team at home. It's like, no, you've got to adapt to Anfield. You have to change things. And we will. We will absolutely do that. I'm confident we'll do that. But from my perspective, this is not a game that you win on set pieces. So these stats really, I don't know why Pies use this particular stat. I mean, it's interesting to know, isn't it? But I don't think this is a game changer. I mean, Reece James is available for selection as well. For me, I don't start Reece James in this game. I start Fofana. No, I don't start Fofana, sorry. I start Gusto on the right. I start Tosin and Colwell with that centre-back partnership. Those of you who've been watching the channel regularly, I don't think that Tosin's much worse than Fofana. I actually would argue that at this moment in time, he's probably a better player to play week in, week out for Chelsea in that first team. And then if you want to give Fofana minutes, everyone's making these excuses for him. Oh, he's just come back from injury. Well, that's fine. Play him in the Conference League then. Like, why can't you settle a player in that way? Why do you have to chuck him straight in the deep end in the most important competition that we play? So for me, it's just a strange argument. You look at a player like Fofana, and I'm not clueless. I can see he's a good player. He's got great attributes. He's got pace, strength. He's aggressive, good with his aerial duels. He can pass the ball well. Yeah. And when he gets tight to defenders, I like that aspect of his game. Yeah, I do. But he's not reliable enough, and he's not being consistent enough. And anyone that tells me you build this team around Wesley Fofana. I don't have any proof that any team built around him is a great team. And you can look at Leicester, but then also you look to other qualities and you say, well, all right, fine, you keep him, and then he wants to fuck off. He's not loyal. He's got no loyalty to Chelsea. He spoke about going to Marseille. He literally said, I was thinking about leaving. I had an offer, and I was like, I was looking at doing it. That from a player, you don't get respect for that. So I don't understand why that's been brushed under the carpet as much as it has. I do think that fans need to sort of open their eyes and see that we have a player who is a good player, but he's not a top player. He's not proven himself. He's certainly not an £80 million player. So I hope Tosin proves his worth against Liverpool. And we already know that Levi Colwill is a top centre-back. Pochettino played him out of position. I never understood why he did that as a left-back, but he did it. And, you know, I look at Levi Colwill and I think what he brings to that back line, you can play in any system. And that is such a good thing to have. And also it gives the goalkeeper around him a little bit more flexibility. If you are going to pass short, you've got a player who can receive it, look forward, and then look to initiate and break the press from the get-go, whether that's balls into midfield or even up front to Jackson, who likes to drop a little bit deeper, or Palmer. So those are the three I'd start with. Cucurella is out, as we already know, so we're going to have Vega on the left. It'd be interesting to see if we do invert. So if we're inverting Vega on the left-hand side, like we usually do with Cucurella, or if we look to go the other side and invert Gusto, who for me has looked quite good when he's inverted. Not as good as Cucurella, but I mean, Cucurella has been that good. Not many would get in ahead of him. So I look to invert one of those two. And then we need legs in that midfield. We need legs. We need stability. How are we going to win that midfield battle up against Gravenberch and McAllister? Two players with great legs, good technical ability as well. McAllister is going to be looking to dictate the play, just control that midfield and pin us back. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, look, I like Enzo. This is not the game for Enzo Fernandez. It's not the game for him. And for all of his qualities, if you're not going to play him in his best position, which is as a 6, it's not an 8, certainly not a 10. But Maresca's been playing him as sort of a left-sided 8, yeah, in between Palmer and Caicedo. Then he's not the right player for this game because he's going to get outrun. He's going to get totally outrun. And even if Liverpool are dominating the ball, which I think they will, they're also very, very dangerous on the counter. And that is not a player that I trust to break up counterattacks with Enzo Fernandez. And Caicedo is going to need all the help he can get. And that help is not going to come from Enzo. That's going to come from a player like Lavia. So if you risk playing a player slightly deeper next to Caicedo, or push Caicedo a little bit further up, because he's more than capable of being a box-to-box midfielder, and Lavia can play slightly deeper, get us ticking. You know, he had a fantastic start to the season, and people are going, well, he shouldn't start ahead of Enzo Fernandez. Well, why? Why? He's clearly shown he's capable of playing for Chelsea and being good enough for Chelsea. He's clearly shown it. So what is going to hold you back from starting this guy? And this is the perfect game to do it. Now, could you argue, yeah, maybe he needs a couple more weeks to recover so he could be fully fit? That's fine. And if that's the argument, that's fair. But also, give him 60 minutes and then sub him off. Yeah? He needs to start this game. So I start this midfield with Lavia and Caicedo. And if you're going to give one player the freedom to go further up the pitch, it's going to be Caicedo. He can go box to box. He can adapt. He's very versatile. One thing that we have in this Chelsea team that people don't talk about enough, and we deserve a lot of credit for this in terms of our recruitment as well, is we have players who can play in multiple positions and do different things. And that is something that any team would love to have. And in modern football, it's priceless. You know, I remember Azpilicueta, for example. You know, the guy can play in a back three. He played as a left back under Jose Mourinho, and he can play as a right back. That's what you want. If every player in your back line could do that, I mean, how nice is that as a manager? So the fact that we have that with a number of our players, so many actually all over the pitch. Look at Cole Palmer, look at Jackson, I mean, Enzo Fernandez technically is versatile, but he doesn't suit playing in any other position other than the 6. So I would love to see him play in that position instead of Caicedo, and maybe have cover in a different way. But it won't happen because defensively you can't trust him. Not like Caicedo. He doesn't have the legs on him, but you will have more quality on the ball. We can all agree with that. Enzo's got some great passing range. He's good at getting us ticking. He was a direct replacement for Jorginho. I think he's good at controlling that midfield, but yeah, just a little bit off the pace recently for me. I mean, I said it against Brighton. Everyone said I was crazy, and then we played our last game. I can't even remember who we just played. It's been that long. We played our last game, and he was poor, wasn't he? So there must be some reason for that, and I think the position we're putting him in is making it harder. You have to play your team around Enzo Fernandez. If you don't do that, you don't have a good Enzo Fernandez. You go from £100 million player that we paid for to a £30 million player. Your average Joe. Anyone would do that. If you don't play a player in his rightful position, you're not going to get the best out of him. So why people think that we're going to see the best out of Enzo Fernandez when he's playing like this, I don't see it. I don't see it. You turn your back to goal. If he's turning his back to goal, he's not good enough. Yeah. If he's looking to dribble past players, it's difficult. So you need to bring him deeper. Bring him closer to the back line. Let him dictate what we're doing. He's not a goal scorer. He's a playmaker. He's a dictator. Let him dictate. But it's not going to happen. Enzo Maresca is not going to play him instead of Caicedo. He's certainly not going to play him ahead of Lavia, because the smart thing is not to play him, as far as I'm concerned. If you want to control that midfield, simply control, then you've got to take Enzo Fernandez out of the fold. And he can certainly play his way back into the squad, but right now he's not cutting it. So, yeah. We got Sanchez in goal, Gusto on the right, Vega on the left, Colwell, Tosin, and then who else have we got? We've got Lavia and Caicedo. Lavia playing slightly deeper, Caicedo slightly further up as an 8, box to box. Or you could have him sitting as well. Yeah, soak up the pressure and counter. He's more than capable of getting up there with the rest of the team. So then you've got 4 players left. Number 10. I think that's quite easy. We can all agree that's going to be Cole Palmer. Yeah, he's going to do something at Anfield. Let's have a right. Pochettino's Tottenham through is always going to take the piss after he joined us. It's not true. It just didn't work. It didn't work as well as people wanted it to. But actually, I don't think he did a bad job. I'll be totally honest. I'll stand by that. Even if we lose, we still have to play like, yeah, Chelsea might be back, but Liverpool are just superior. So even if we lose, you want us to play good football? Yeah, that's fair. But it's going to be counter-attacking football at Anfield. Clown Lake trying to change our name. They can't legally change our name. Not while we're based at Stamford Bridge, because of the Chelsea pitch owners. If you don't know what the Chelsea pitch owners is, please look it up. It's on Chelsea's website. You can buy a share. They're not cheap. They're about £100. But if you are a shareholder, you get a say in something to do with, like if Chelsea ever had a poll or a sort of an election of who decides where we go, or do we stay or do we go, you will get a say on that if you are a member of the CPO. So buy a share. It does really help the club. And it is the only thing that Chelsea fans have, which is legitimate control over Chelsea. Legitimate. The owners can't control where we go. We can. And that's a beautiful thing. How many clubs in world football can say that, especially at the top level? So Chelsea's very special in that sense. I predict Virgil van Dijk being red carded. He will get frustrated with the speedy Chelsea forwards. Who's the referee? Oh, God. Actually, I need to. That's a great question. Who is the referee? Referee, Liverpool. Liverpool versus Chelsea. Let's have a look. John Brooks. John Brooks is going to be the referee. Which one's John Brooks? John Brooks referee. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. This is John Brooks. He's so bad. Oh, man. You know what the thing is? The God honest truth is they're all rubbish. They're all crap. Why did I say that as if we were going to get a referee and I was going to say, oh, nice. Oh, great. Oh, Anthony Taylor. Nah, man. They're all crap. I don't care who you are. That is the face of someone who does not know what they're doing. He doesn't have a clue. Oh, God, they're rubbish. They are rubbish. Yeah, at least it's not Taylor, I guess. I'll take that. I guess that's something, right? Would you say people wanting to start Enzo over Lavia is racially... Oh, come on, mate. It's got nothing to do with... No. Why? Why does it have anything to do with racism? We have some great black players. I mean, that's just... No. If that's the case, then why would you start Fofana? Why would you start Tosin or ask for them? Why do you like Nicholas Jackson? Why do you like Madueke? Caicedo? So, no, totally... no, not a good argument at all. There's no racism involved with who plays well, who plays. It's purely football based. And if there are people that are looking at it from that standpoint, then they're just idiots. Sunday's going to be a tough game. I want Lavia and Neto to start on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Neto starts. I'll keep going from where I was. So we said Palmer. He's quite clearly going to start, and he is our threat. So who do we play on the left? Jadon Sancho or Mudryk? Let me know in the chat. Who do you play? Me personally, I think that, well, Sancho will definitely start, but I don't have anything against Mudryk coming on as a sub. But also, based on Mudryk's recent form and the fact that he's up against Alexander-Arnold, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Mudryk. But I love Jadon Sancho. It depends where you want to go with it, right? If you're looking for creativity, you start Sancho, link up Sancho. If you're looking to counter and use Mudryk's pace, then that's another dimension, right? So they both have different things to offer. But I think we're going to see Sancho. I think that also the atmosphere at Liverpool, you've got to find players who are capable of soaking it up, right? Who's going to be calm on the ball when we have it? And I don't think we're going to have it that much. Is it going to be Mudryk, who's quite rash, sloppy at times, gives the ball away, doesn't necessarily have the best football IQ, or a player like Sancho? So Sancho wins that duel already. And for that reason, I go with Jadon Sancho on the left. But I want to see Mudryk come on as a sub. Unless Jadon Sancho is having an absolute blinder, I want to see Mudryk come on, utilize his pace, cause Liverpool some problems. Can we not have a replay of what we saw in his debut, except this time with a goal to finish it off? A nice juicy run cutting through. That'll be beautiful. And then we look on the right-hand side. Neto or Madueke. For me, I think that, honestly, this is a tough one. Deal says Neto. I think you go with Madueke. Oh, do you know what? I'm not sure. If we've got the ball, I go with Madueke. If we can counter well. But also on the break, I think Neto is very dangerous. As well, I'm thinking of it as well. If I'm starting Lavia and Caicedo, and I want stability, I probably want it on the wings as well, because I think defensively you're going to get a little bit more out of Neto, but he's going to make the run through, whipping balls to into the box. Yeah, I think I'll probably go Neto for this game. Yeah, I'll go with Neto. That's a hard decision for me, but I think Neto just takes it, and then maybe Madueke on as a sub. He's definitely earned the chance to start some Premier League games for Chelsea. He scored against Barrow. He scored against Ghent. It was a great goal he scored. Yeah, for me, I look at Neto on that right-hand side, and I see a player who will do very well at Anfield. And like Deals has said, he's had some good games for Wolves there. So let's give it a go. And then up front, we start with Wacko Jacko, Nicholas Jackson. What am I looking for from you? You need to hold up the ball, my friend. Hold up the ball and counter. The link up between him and Palmer is going to be key. Because if we get up the ball up to Jackson and he gives it away in a stupid manner, that's when we're in trouble. So what we're really looking for is a player who I'm not even interested in. I don't think that the big chance is going to fall to Jackson. I think that the big chance is probably going to fall to Palmer. But it's how we get there. And it's almost like what we saw against West Ham. If Jackson has a good game, I think Chelsea will have a good game. And he is that important to us. The amount of times that, you see strikers rock up to Anfield who are renowned for their hold-up play or good counter-attackers, whatever it is, using their pace, and they get shut out instantly by Van Dijk. I don't think we'll necessarily see that. I think that Chelsea have a real chance. And I see this game open. I see chances. I see lots of chances. I see stability from Liverpool's side, but I also see mistakes. Yeah, I think that what we have in terms of our attacking threat is the best that Liverpool have faced so far. I mean, they haven't faced any teams in the top 6, not even in the top half of the table as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, we drew against Nottingham Forest. They lost. We're already winning. We already have the mental edge against Liverpool. 1 win in 9 years at Anfield. Let's change that. Let's get back to where we need to be. Listen, this is a transition period for Chelsea still. We're not competing for the title. That's a load of bollocks. But what we are going to do is compete in the big games, but have that consistency in the smaller games as well. And I think Enzo Maresca can do that. So I'm going to go. Do you know what, Deals? You're saying 2-1. I'll probably go even higher score, and I go 3-2. And for some reason, I'm very optimistic. I'm going 3-2 Chelsea. We've got a lot of firepower up top. And I think that's going to be key, but we're going to concede. I think even with us playing well by our standards defensively, we'll concede goals. And if we can score on top of that, we're in a great position. So, I mean, that's where I am at the moment, guys. That's where I am. Ben Chilwell is being assessed for the game against Liverpool, according to Enzo Maresca. But, I mean, that's not going to happen, is it? Let's be real. It's not going to happen. So, that's where I am right now. We're not going to see any of Ben Chilwell. The last 6 games between Liverpool and Chelsea have all been draws. I don't want to see another one. I want to see, I want to see a win, guys. We've got to see a win. Some people are saying we should start Enzo Fernandez as well. Nah, I'm not in that camp. I don't believe Enzo Fernandez is the one for today. But listen, I'll just quickly run through this. Noni and Sancho, Vega to shut up, Salah up, Tosin as well. Jackson needs to hold up the ball. A proper Barclays classic, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, guys, definitely. But listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for jumping on, guys. We're going to do a lot more of these. This is going to be like a daily thing, multiple streams a day. So, yeah, all the best, guys. And let's catch up soon. And, yeah,